This is instructions not included. How to navigate networking and job searching for media students. Here's your host, Colin Bradbury.
Hi, hello. You found me. This is it. Episode 1. Let me just start off by saying thank you for letting me borrow your speakers for this next little while. But before we get started, just a little bit about me. My name's Colin, and this is my final project in school at Humber College in Toronto. And I thought I would make something that I can use to kind of share my experience, what I'm going through right now, and I can try and help out everyone that's kind of in the same boat. I know that there's a lot of us. Times are tough. Job searching, not fun. Networking, not fun. Having to actually accept the fact that school is over, time to put your big boy, big girl pants on and get a real career. So times are changing. Life is changing. And that's okay. In this episode and in this podcast, we're going to explore all the kind of different aspects of job searching and networking. From getting your internship, resume building, interviewing, trying to network, and trying to deal with the feelings that go along with that, dealing with your mental health, because you always have to take care of yourself. In today's episode number 1, starting it off, we're talking to Emily Bailie. She's the Industry Liaison here at Humber College for my program, which means she works for the school, but also works out in the real world, and she helps as like a stepping stone into the industry. So she provides kind of insights into what employers are looking for, how you can put your best foot forward, and more specifically about the internship process. For me, I had a tough time trying to find my internship because back during that time, it was when companies weren't doing their layoffs, but they also were not hiring. And because I'm a nerd, I put together a spreadsheet tracking all of my applications, the different stages, responses, if I got interviews, if I heard back, and I was up to like 50, 60 different applications, and I was feeling like all hope was lost. And then I pull out a connection from someone that I hadn't spoken to in 3.5 years, and lo and behold, that's it. I found it, and I got my internship. I know that everyone's journey is different. It might not be as easy as that. It might not be as hard as that. But in today's episode, we're going to talk about a few different tips for trying to find the internship, how you can put your best foot forward, what you can do to try and turn that into more opportunity, into a job maybe, into a connection to a job. Hi, Emily. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Hi, Colin. Thanks so much for having me.
So just getting started, could you tell us what you do at Humber and then what else you get up to?
I'm an industry liaison at Humber College. And what that means is I get to work with students in particular programs and help them gain real world experience in their field. So I help students prepare for internships and field placements as part of their academic studies by giving them material, giving them coaching, giving them tips and strategies, and help them achieve the internship that they are hoping for, and also to get the most out of that particular internship experience. So we have a course component, professional practice as it's known at Humber, and that's where students learn to make a really great LinkedIn profile. They learned how to gain interview skills. They learn a little bit about what the industry is looking like at that particular time. And then they can use that information to fly, and they can gain their own internship. We don't do it for them, but we help and provide support. And then they get to go out and test drive a career in their field of study. So this is a great way for students to apply what they've learned in their studies in the classroom and also decide if this career is for them. There are many different directions a student can take their career when it relates to marketing or digital communications or multimedia. There are many different industries, many different options out there. So trying something is a good thing, and getting your feet wet, seeing if this is for you and building from there, I think is an excellent first step. When I'm not at Humber College, I'm running a business called Compass Content Marketing. And what I do in that business is I work with organizations across Canada to help get their marketing and artificial intelligence strategy from where it is now to where they want it to be. So I provide training, both virtual and in person. I do workshops, and I teach courses to professionals in the marketing field and in entrepreneurship, and nonprofits as well. So the topics that I typically deal with are, how to build a marketing strategy, how to use artificial intelligence tools to build your business, how to use AI in your social media marketing, and how to build a content marketing plan that works for your organization. So I wear a lot of different hats, as you can see, but they're all connected and they all really complement one another.
Wow. Wow, you've got a lot on the go. That's that's impressive.
Thank you.
When thinking of the internship, what would be the best type of workplace, like best kind of working arrangement or setup to get the most out of the experience?
I think going in person at least part of the time is really great for students because that's where you get to get a true feel for the organization. You get to network and meet other folks who are well into their careers, learn from them, observe them, get a feel for the industry culture, and take on additional opportunities as they may arise. So I do like the convenience of remote work, but for students, I do think that, the benefits of some in-person collaboration is just monumental. So that's the first piece. I think having a supportive supervisor or mentor is really important because no one expects students to have all the answers. This is a learning experience, and we expect someone in your workplace who's more experienced than you to be able to provide you with support, feedback, and answer questions that you may have along the way. I believe strongly that organizations of all sizes should be fostering a culture of innovation. So digital communications is changing rapidly, certainly with artificial intelligence impacting the industry. That will continue to, grow as time goes on. So whether it's, let's say, a small bakery, with a small marketing team and a small marketing budget versus a big multinational corporation, I think any type of organization can offer a good internship, but they have to be open to being willing to grow, being willing to learn new things, and to facilitate that learning for all of their staff.
Yeah, that was kind of the biggest thing that drew me to this digital communications program was that basically any company anywhere needs to do communications work, needs to do some form of advertising or marketing, whether internal or external. So I just knew that I had so many different kind of pathways and opportunities to kind of try out and different industries to kind of experiment with. So looking forward, job searching, I know that I've got kind of a wide variety to choose from.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with a degree in digital communications. And I think that's really fantastic because all the folks I know who are, perhaps a little more seasoned, let's say, 15, 20 years, a lot of them in the industry like myself, a lot of them have moved around a lot. They've gone to different organizations. They've advanced their careers, sometimes by leaving one organization and going to another. Some of them have lost their jobs and then gained a different job, or some of them have decided to go and open up their own business or freelance. So there's many iterations, I believe, with a typical career. There is no longer that typical, I'm using typical in quotation, air quotes, because there's no, necessarily a straight line to success. And I think that in my parents' generation, the sort of wisdom among a lot of people was you get in with a good company and you stay there and you grow and you get promoted over time. Then when you retire, you have a nice pension and you can sort of sail off into the sunset. And that was success for a lot of people, right? Well, the industry has just changed so much. That's no longer realistic for a lot of folks. I don't believe young people starting out or anyone should pin their hopes on one particular organization because things can change very quickly without notice. And the best thing that folks can do is grow their own career, take responsibility for their own professional development, explore opportunities within the role that they already have. And, I'm not saying hop from one organization to another often, but when there is that potential that's been reached within a certain role, maybe after a couple of years or more, maybe then it is time to think about, okay, what's my next step and how can I get there and how can I make that happen for myself? So you are the CEO of your own career. And I think folks that sort of take that role on quietly, perhaps, but they're putting in those, putting that steps into place are the ones that often do find that they're able to be adaptable, they're resilient, and they're able to advance their career over time.
Yeah, especially since the pandemic, I have seen a lot more people that are prioritizing themselves, their own kind of mental health, their own career path to make sure that they're doing what's best for them, not necessarily settling for anything. And yeah, that is definitely what I've heard a lot more of. If you want to keep growing and keep developing new skills, you do have to find the best opportunities. That is definitely something that I've heard and that I'm definitely thinking about. So when searching for the internships, I was looking on job boards and company websites, as well as kind of working my own network. But are there any unexpected or kind of underrated places people might be able to find an internship?
That's a great question, Colin. And I encourage a lot of students to follow the organizations and the leaders in their industry that they are most interested in on social media. So I'll explain why in a minute, but if you are a typical Instagram user, let's say, then Instagram may be the platform to do this. If you are spending more time on LinkedIn, maybe that would be the best platform to do so. If you're more of an email person, you prefer getting updates sent to your inbox and you like that mode of communication, you can do that as well. So you get to customize how you receive these updates. When you subscribe or follow an organization of interest or perhaps an association of interest, what you will find is sometimes these outlets will share updates about potential opportunities there. So what this means is they're not necessarily posting the job on Indeed because they don't want 1,000 applicants. That's very time consuming for them. What they want is a smaller group of people who are already engaged with their brand. So if you're already following the brand or you're following, let's say, the CEO or the agency partner or whoever that person may be, what you will sometimes see is that they'll say, hey, we're hiring. And they'll make a rather informal announcement on social media and then direct folks as to how to apply. So if you're already following those organizations, you're going to see that quickly. And I encourage folks who are interested to get your application in as soon as possible. Because what happens sometimes with these more informal recruiting processes is that they'll wait until they have enough viable candidates to interview, and then they may not be accepting further applications. And I'll give you an example. An agency I'm doing some training with, some AI training with, they're looking for a social media coordinator. She posted it to her own LinkedIn account. So she's kind of putting the word out there to her network. What I did was I noticed that and I shared it on my LinkedIn. So I said, cool job alert or something like that, or hey, students, check this out. It was an entry-level position. And what happened was she got flooded with applicants and she was very happy that she got such good response. But a day or two later, she added a note to say, due to a high volume of applicants, the posting is now closed. And so these things can move quickly, and it's important to stay updated. I'm not saying spend all your time on social media, but check in every couple of days perhaps and see if anything new has come up. If so, you want to make sure that you're following those instructions and you're getting your application in as soon as you can.
Yeah, that's almost like the kind of first layer of screening for a job. Like, is this person connected to us somehow in our network or familiar with the business? So that's already the kind of first layer of screening that a hiring manager might do.
Exactly. Yeah. And they want someone who is not a complete stranger, let's say. They don't want to be flooded with random people who don't even really know the business. Like some people will just apply just because they're applying. They're not even putting any effort into it. Whereas someone like yourself is being more thoughtful about it. And that's what employers really like to see. So bonus points, if you've say gone to an event there before, or you've attended some, industry meetup, you're a newsletter subscriber, et cetera, that's the kind of thing that they may notice. And that's the kind of thing that you can bring up in an interview as well.
And then going back to what you're saying about social media, the smaller businesses might just kind of post on social media their job postings and just give like a kind of email address for the manager to contact, a much more kind of indirect and not less official, but kind of
less structured, right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And less hoops to jump through, perhaps. With some of these big companies, the experiences can be fantastic, but getting a foot in the door can be a challenge. So some of these big multinational companies, they're flooded with applicants and the process has been automated. They're using software, which makes their job easier, but it also, sometimes makes you feel like as an applicant, you're getting a bit lost in the shuffle. So that personalized approach and that direct, if you have a name and an email address that you can actually contact someone, like that's really amazing. That's gold for a possible job search. And LinkedIn is a great tool as well, because you can search by keyword, you can search by job title and by organization. So you may be able to uncover folks' names that way as well.
Yeah, and then being able to send that follow up and that thank you for connecting, all those little personal touches that try and make you stand out from the crowd.
They say that sending a follow up note is critical. So I think it is absolutely a best practice. An email suffices, but a real handwritten card is good too. I mean, if you're located in the same city as the organization or the person that interviewed you, I heard a story once that I remembered. This person had an interview. They really, really wanted the job. And so they wrote a handwritten thank you card. They went downtown to where the office building was located that they interviewed at. And then they dropped the card, the thank you card, in the mailbox outside of that building, so that the next morning on the mail run, they know it would be delivered. And their handwritten note would be the first one on someone's desk. So, I'm not saying students have to go to those lengths, but that's an example of how that kind of personal touch can stand out and how, sometimes it does benefit you to be proactive.
Yeah. So when you are interviewing for the internship, what would be some good questions to ask the hiring manager when they always ask, do you have any questions?
Yes, you always want to have at least 2 or 3 questions in your back pocket. I say 2 or 3 because during the course of the interview, you may find that, one of your original questions was already answered during the conversation. So the last thing you want to do is say, no, don't have any questions. That looks like you're not that interested. So a few suggestions. You can ask the interviewer, what would a typical day in this role look like? And let them answer, let them explain. They'll say, oh, we usually roll in around, 9, or we usually join it on Zoom at such and such meeting, et cetera. They'll probably say, every day is a little bit different, but here's what you could expect. That's helpful for you as you're determining if this place is right for you. Also, I like turning the tables on them a little bit and asking them what they like most about working there. And sometimes you'll see folks think on that. They'll go, what do I like the most about? And then you kind of get a little bit of a glimpse into, how happy they are in their role and what's going on in the organization. Not every workplace is going to be a 10 out of 10, unfortunately. So that is a little bit of a, it can be a little bit of a sign, perhaps. If you can read body language and you can read between the lines, that's a good one just to see, to test them a little bit while keeping it super positive and light. You don't want to go and ask them anything awkward, but I think if you're saying like something simple like, what do you like best about your role? Or what do you like best about working here? Then you're giving them the opportunity to kind of fill in the blanks a bit.
Yeah, a few times I've tried asking how would I be evaluated in this role? What kind of key performance indicators, KPIs would I be looking at to try and make them see that I'm interested in learning and developing and that I want to try and do the best I can?
That's a really good one. I really like that. And you can also say something related to that, like, what in your view, what does success look like in this role? And put it on them. Let them explain really what they feel would be the best outcome.
Okay. And then once you have the internship and you're working, what can you do to stand out and make a good impression and hopefully leave the door open for any kind of future connections?
I love that you're asking this. And my brother, Jeff Bailie, who's also a Humber graduate, he studied copywriting. He did his internship at Rethink Agency. And what he was encouraged to do was to message different folks within the agency and ask them out for coffee. And this was maybe 5-6 years ago now. And this was sort of something that he was actually told to do. It was sort of like an expectation. But you can take this and your listeners can take this advice. So you message them, you ask them for some time when they have some free time. Let's go for a coffee, buy them a coffee, walk around the block, go for lunch, whatever that looks like for you. And then, and use that opportunity to kind of pick their brain a little bit, learn more about what they do and learn more about the advice that they would offer to someone like yourself who's looking to kind of break into that industry. And you're also building up relationships with some of these people. So rather than them just seeing you as an intern that maybe they walk past because they're busy, you're getting some of that one-on-one time. You're doing it at a time that's convenient for them so that they can kind of focus on you and not, their phone ringing or their emails going off. And you can sometimes uncover some really valuable insights or get people who will eventually become a bit of a champion for you. So taking that initiative while you're in your internship is key. Also looking for opportunities to get involved. There may be some social events coming up that you could attend if you're invited. There could be a conference, there could be a talk, there could be, a drinks night, something like that. You don't have to drink alcohol, by the way, to attend these events. And it allows you to mix and mingle a little bit. Yeah, you're going to be the intern, but you may not be the only intern. And often relationships get formed at these types of things, and people notice that you're taking the initiative to get involved. That's a great way for you to lay the foundation, keep that door open should there be any further openings after your internship is complete, and also just to keep in touch with some of the folks that you've met and worked with. So you can keep in touch with them by email, by LinkedIn, by social media, etc. A year or two from now, those may be the same people you get in touch with and say, hey, I'm looking for this type of role. Would you know of any openings? Also, those people that you met in your internship may move to another agency or another organization, and then they may know of an opening. So it's networking in the sense of, building those, building that hub and spoke, you're building those connections. Those people have their connections as well. And in the end, it can all serve to strengthen the possibilities for your career.
Yeah, trying to meet with as many people as possible would be beneficial because the current opening at the company might not be in one exact department that you might need to work your way around, establish yourself in a kind of roundabout way. So I see how that would be very helpful. All right, so thank you for taking the time to speak with me. This has been a lot of good tips, some good advice. I definitely look forward to putting that into action.
Thank you, Colin, and best of luck to everyone.
And that was my chat with Emily Bailie about internships, how to find them, and how to make the most out of them. Before we go today, let's just go over a few instructions that we might have learned. You see how I'm tying in the podcast title there? The first being, job postings might not all be on Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor. Some may be on social media. If a place knows that you found out about their job posting through social media, it means that you are already following them, you already know about the company, and that's basically the first step of screening. That narrows down their candidate pool and shows that you're already interested in the company and know what's going on. We also learned that you may need to jump around every 2, 3, 5 years in order to grow and learn new things. Careers aren't like what they were for our parents. You don't just stick with one business for 30 years and ride off into the sunset. You need to prioritize yourself. You need to do what's best for you. And sometimes that means having to pick yourself up and move on. And also questions. At the end of every interview, you should have questions. And don't just write down one, because they might cover that in the interview. And then you have to say, oh, you've already answered my questions. That sounds awful. Don't do that. You can ask, what's a typical day in the life? Or you can turn things around on the interviewer and ask them, what do you like most about working at this company? Put them in the hot seat. Do you have any questions that you like asking interviewers? Connect with me on Instagram or on LinkedIn. My links are in the podcast description. On our next episode, I'll be talking to Eric Bauer, Head of External Relations with Meridian Credit Union and founder of the Bauer Group, a communications and public relations firm here in Toronto. We'll be talking about transferable skills and soft skills that you might be accumulating right now, even before working in the industry, as well as what a career path looks like and how it's not the same for everyone. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me on my very first episode. If you liked what you heard, please give me a follow, subscribe, give me 5 stars. As a brand new up and coming podcast, it really does make a difference. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.